Okay, guys, welcome back. Right now we're going to talk about the distributive property. Okay, so if to distribute, we're going to distribute the number outside the parentheses to every single term inside the parentheses. Okay, so it's inside. So if I had, and to notice, like if you look at the example down here, if you have a number right next to a parentheses, that means multiplication. So we're going to take this 4 and we're going to multiply it by the x. And we multiply it by the x, and then we're going to take the 4 and we're going to multiply it by a positive 3, so it's going to be 4 times 3. So this would actually be 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 3 is positive 12. So to distribute, we would create that equivalent expression. So if we did it up here in the example, this would be a times b would be ab, and a times positive c would be ac. So it would be ab plus ac. In this example, it would be AB, and then we take A times negative C, so it would be minus A times C. So here we just multiplied those two. Okay, so example number 14, it's a little bit backwards, but the number outside of the parentheses is actually the negative 5. So you can think of this as negative 5 times M plus a negative 5 times 5. So you would get negative 5M minus 25. Okay, number 15, we would take 2 times 3, so negative 2 times 3, and then we'd say plus a negative 2 times negative x because we have a minus there. So this would be negative 6 plus 2x. Okay, or you can rewrite this as 2x minus 6. We typically want our constant to be the last term. Okay, so after a while, I'm going to start skipping this middle term, and we'll this middle step here, and we'll just take negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, negative 2 times negative x is positive 2x. Okay, so here, if we have just a negative on the outside of the parentheses, it's like I'm distributing a negative 1. Okay, so this is negative 1 times 2 plus a negative 1 times a negative y. So we would have negative 2, and a negative 1 times negative y would just be positive y. Again, I'm going to rewrite this as y minus 2. Okay, I just flipped the order to put the constant at the end. Okay, number 17, it would be negative 3 times x plus a negative 3 times negative 5. Okay, again, I'm just multiplying it by each term. This would be negative 3x plus 15. Now, number 18, you've got to be a little bit careful with because we're actually going to distribute, but then we're going to be in a situation where we're going to need to combine like terms. All of these that we did before, we didn't have to combine any like terms. Now, here I look at the example and I look at what I'm distributing. And the number outside of the parentheses is not just a 3, but it's a negative 3. Notice that minus sign right there. So the 2x comes down. We're not doing anything with the 2x just yet. But we're then taking this negative 3 and multiplying it by 3x, okay? And then we're also taking this negative 3 and we're multiplying it by the 4, okay? So I would get 2x minus 9x minus 12. And now I can combine my like terms. 2x minus 9x is negative 7x minus 12 would be my answer. Okay, 19 if I distribute, and at this point I'm going to skip that middle term. I'm going to talk about it, but 1/2 times 6y is 3y, and 1/2 times negative 12 is negative 6. So there's my answer. Here, my 7x would come down, and I would actually distribute my 2. My 2 times x is 2x, and my 2 times 6 is 12. I'd combine my like terms, and I'd get 9x plus 12. In this case, my 12y would come down, and it's actually a negative 5 that I'm distributing. So negative 5 times 2y is negative 10y, and negative 5 times negative 7 is positive 35. 12y minus 10y is 2y, so I would get 2y plus 35. 22, 2 times 3z would be 6z, and 2 times negative 4 would be minus 8. Number 23, 1/4 times 16x would be 4x, okay, because 1/4 times 16 We go straight across, we get 16/4, which is 4. So that's how we get our 4. And 1/4 times 60 is 15. So there's my answer. Now be careful with number 24. Number 24 is strange. We've got this minus y minus 4. We're actually distributing a -1. So this would become 4y minus y, because -1 times y is -y, and negative times -4 would be +4. So it's like it's taking the opposite of everything inside the parentheses. 4y minus y, it's just like having a 1y, so 4 minus 1 is 3y. So we would get 3y plus 4. Okay, for this one we're going to distribute the 1/3. 1/3 times -12 is -4. 1/3 times 3x would just be 1x, so we're going to write that at x. So 1/3 times 3/1, we would just get 3/3, which is 1. 1 times x is just x. Again, we don't write the 1. Plus 8x minus 4. Now I combine my like terms, and I'm going to get 9x, and then I have a -4 minus 4, so 9x minus 8. 26, we would distribute the -3, and we would get -3x minus 6, and then minus 3. So we would have -3x, and -6 minus 3 would be minus 9. Okay, here we're distributing a -1, so it's going to be -4x, and it's going to be plus 2, because we distributed the -1. And then we're going to add a -2. So the -4x, we'd find out the 2 and the -2 cancel out, and we're left with an answer of -4x. Okay, now 28, 3 would be distributed. We would get -12x minus 9, plus here we would distribute a 4, so we're doing two different distributing. This would be 24x plus 4. We combine our like terms and we get 12x. This would be a -9 and a positive 4, so minus 5. Okay, 29, let me draw a line here. We'd have 7m plus 6, because -3 times -2, minus 3m minus 27. 7m minus 3m is 4m. 6 minus 27 is a -21. And then the final one, number 30, is a fraction. 4/3 times 5/6 would be 20/18x. And 4/3 times 4, so we're just distributing the fraction, would be -16/3. Now we can simplify 20/18 to be 10/9 minus 16/3. So that would be our answer. Okay, thanks guys.